Welcome to Knox.
We're not just talking about millions of customers here in the United States.
40 million credit card and debit numbers stolen.
In 1999, NASA discovered something terrifying. Someone had broken into their systems and downloaded software connected to the International Space Station. At first, investigators probably imagined a professional cybercriminal, maybe a foreign spy, maybe an organized hacker group, but the person behind it was not a spy. He was a 15-year-old boy from Florida. His name was Jonathan James. Jonathan James grew up in Miami and used the online name C0 Murade. While most teenagers his age were playing video games or going to school, Jonathan was teaching himself programming, networking, and computer systems. He was young, but extremely skilled. And in the late 1990s, the internet was still like the Wild West. Companies, schools, and even government agencies were connecting their systems online. But security was often weak. For Jonathan, this became a challenge. Not for money, not for fame, but, according to reports, simply because he could. To shut down some systems for weeks to investigate and fix the damage. The estimated cost was tens of thousands of dollars. And suddenly, this was no longer just a teenage hacker story. This was a national security case. In January 2000, federal agents raided Jonathan's home. He was still a teenager. Later that year, he pleaded guilty to juvenile delinquency charges. At only 16 years old, Jonathan James became the first juvenile in the United States to be sentenced to confinement for cybercrime. His sentence included house arrest, probation, and apology letters to NASA and the Department of Defense. To some people, he was a genius who exposed weak security. To others, he was a criminal who crossed a dangerous line. But his story did not end there. Years later, Jonathan was investigated again during a massive hacking case involving stolen customer data from major US retailers. He denied being involved, but the pressure around him grew. In 2008, at the age of 24, Jonathan James died by suicide. In a note, he said he had no faith in the justice system and believed he would be blamed for crimes he said he did not commit. His death turned his story from a cybercrime case into something much darker. A story about talent, pressure, mistakes, and the thin line between curiosity and destruction. Jonathan James was not the first hacker in history, but he became one of the most famous young hackers ever because he showed the world something uncomfortable. Sometimes the biggest threat to powerful systems is not an army, not a government, not a criminal empire. Sometimes it is one teenager alone in his room with a computer,